Hello, PLP Pre-Calc. Today we are taking a look at Concept 14. We're going to be looking at circles. We're going to look at some definitions. Consider the circle shown below in Figure 1.19. A point xy lies on the circle if and only if its distance from the center, hk, is the radius r. So by the distance formula, you would have x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared, or equals r, sorry. Apologize for the announcements in the background. Okay, by squaring each side of this equation, you obtain the standard form for the equation of a circle. So, I'm going to go ahead and show that. So, square both sides. The standard form of the equation of a circle is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. The standard form of the equation of a circle, a point xy lies on a circle of radius r and center hk if and only if. Again, I'm just going to copy that formula down here. X minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. And then your special case here, if your center is at the origin, your h and your k both are 0. Your formula for your circle, x squared plus y squared equals r squared. Alrighty. Example 1. The point 3, 4 lies on the circle whose center is at negative 1, 2, as shown in figure 1.20. Write the standard form for the equation of this circle. So we've got x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. We know our center, hk, is at negative 1, 2. And then we also know this random point on the circle. That point is 3, 4. We can use this as an x value and a y value, and that's going to help us find our radius. So when we fill in all of the information we know, we would have 3 minus our h, negative 1 squared, plus our y, which was 4, minus our k of 2 equals 2, or equals r squared. Lost my train of thought there. So then 3 minus negative 1, 3 plus 1 is 4. 4 squared plus 4 minus 2, 2 squared equals r squared. 4 squared, of course, is 16. 2 squared is 4. And this equals r squared. So our r squared is 20. Now, typically, if you're trying to find your radius, you're going to take the square root of 20 and then get to 2 square roots of 5 as your radius value. However, since we are just writing the equation of the circle, r squared is actually what we need in our formula. So we can really stop right there and solve. So we have x minus our h, which our h is negative 1. So we're going to have x minus negative 1, x plus 1 squared, plus y minus our k, which is 2 squared, equals our r squared of 20. And then that is our solution. That is the equation of our circle. Okay. All right. Find the center and the radius of the circle. X minus 5 squared plus y squared equals 9 over 4. You'll probably get tired of seeing me write this equation, but it's a good reminder to have. Okay, so match up your pieces. We've got x minus 5 squared, x minus h squared. So our h is at 5. Y minus k squared, we just have y squared, which means that our k is at 0. So our center is at 5, 0. And then our radius squared, r squared, is this 9 over 4. All we need to do to solve that, take the square root of both sides, and our r is 3 halves. So your radius is 3 halves. 3 over 2. All right, to a little bit of a trickier problem here. The endpoints of a diameter on a circle are 3, 2, and negative 9, 8. We're going to write the standard form of the equation of the circle. So what this is going to look like, I'm not going to really draw it on a graph, but if we've got endpoints that are on the diameter of a circle. Remember, if you remember from geometry, the diameter of the circle is the longest length through the middle of a circle. So it will go through the center. So if we find the distance between those two, one, that's going to help us find our radius because then we'll just cut that in half. But if we find the distance and then find actually the halfway point, the midpoint of that line, that's going to give us the center of our circle. So to find our center, we need our midpoint. So we're going to take our first x plus our second x and divide it by 2. Our first y plus our second y and divide it by 2. This is just your midpoint formula. So that gives us 3 minus 9. So it's going to give us negative 6 over 2, and then 2 minus 8, also negative 6 over 2. So our center is at negative 3, negative 3. And then from here, we can either use the distance formula, find the length of our diameter, and then find our radius from that, or we can go kind of on that first method that we used and just use the equation of the circle. So now we know actually 2 points on the circle. I'm just going to pick this point because it's the first point I see. And then we're going to use that as our x and our y value in our formula. So we have x, which is 3, minus our h, which is negative 3, squared, plus our y, which is 2, minus our k, which is negative 3, squared. It's going to give us our r squared. 3 minus negative 3, that is 6. 6 squared is 36, plus 2 minus negative 3, 2 plus 3, that's going to give us 5 squared. 5 squared is 25. That gives us our r squared. So our r squared is 61. And then again, we don't need to rewrite that as the square root of 61, because all we're going to do is write our equation. So our equation is going to be, I need to make a little bit of room for myself. We've got x minus negative 3, so x plus 3 squared, plus y minus negative 3, so y plus 3 squared, equals our r squared of 61. It's the equation of our circle. All right, last thing we're looking at, we're going to find the center and the radius of the circle represented by the equation below. So we have x squared plus y squared minus 8x minus 12y minus 48 equals 0. This is going to be a nice little case of double completing the square so that we can get this to look like a circle formula. So I'm going to group my x's and my y's together. So I've got x squared minus 8x. And then I'm going to purposefully leave a blank here. If you remember, complete the square, you know why. And then plus y squared minus 12y. Again, leave my little blank. And then I am going to go ahead and add my 48 to both sides just so that I get all of my variables on one side, everything else on the other. Okay, now what I need to add into those blanks, I have x squared minus 8x. So for completing the square, you take your b value, which in this case is negative 8. So negative 8 divided by 2, it's negative 4, and then you square it. Negative 4 squared is 16. So we're going to add 16 to both sides. And then we're going to do the same thing for our second half. So we've got y minus 12y, y squared minus 12y. So that's going to give us negative 12 divided by 2. Negative 6 squared is 36. So we're going to add 36 to both sides. So that gives us a total of 100 on our right-hand side, and then we can complete the square, or finish completing the square. We're almost there. So the two numbers that either, if you remember it as the two numbers that multiply to 16 and add to -8, it's going to be x minus 4 and x minus 4. So x minus 4 squared, that's what we were forcing was a perfect square. Or the other way to remember it is to do, I'll show you on this one, your b over 2. So our b here is 12, so we'd have y minus 6 squared. All right, and that is the equation of our circle. Oh, actually, we didn't even want the equation. I did the equation anyways. But our center from that is 4, 6. And our radius is the square root of 100, which is 10. All right. At this point, you're going to go ahead and finish those independent practice problems. Give you just a second to do that. Okay, if you've made it this far, be ready. Here are your answers. Go ahead, pause, make sure if you have any questions, you ask your teacher. And here's the last one. And when you are ready, make sure you complete your teacher talk. Thank you.